It's summer solstice. The quantum mechanics are on a field trip. It can only mean one thing. It's Stonewatch 2025.
Woo!
Are you the quantum mechanics?
So everyone, welcome to Stonewatch 2025. Now there are a few things different with Stonewatch this year. Regulars to our expedition every summer solstice will know we travel around the country en masse, looking at stones, telling you a bit of the history and the lore, and seeing what vibes are going on. So the difference is this year, I would say we're a couple of people short this year for Stonewatch 2025. We are here with Trudy and Nicola, the Psychic Sidekicks. They are the loyal ones.
We are indeed, absolutely.
James from the Loremen hopefully will be joining us for our usual place that we end up at midnight, the Horse Stone in Enstone, which we've talked about on a number of occasions. We'll tell you more when we get there. We're at another stone now. The other thing you may notice, a friend of the show, Tim, is not with us tonight. He's got some other stuff on, so he couldn't make it. And the weirdest thing for me, is that Ben is not with us tonight. Not because he's opting out of Stonewatch 2025. He has taken Stonewatch 2025 further afield than we've ever gone before. He is in the north of Scotland, travelling the Scottish Isles. He said it was for Stonewatch 2025. I think it might be more to do with the amount of whiskey distilleries that are around there. But he is going to be recording some stuff at the other end of the country in Scotland. He's gone to look at some stones up there. And I must say, when I was researching for this year's Stonewatch 2025, Scotland is like a hotbed of stones. Oxforshire, where we are now, Scotland, they're the places to go. So you will hear from Ben a little bit later on his journeys up on the Isles of Scotland. And yes, so we're here. So the first place we've come to, the other thing we've realised, not having Ben, not having Tim, and not having James yet, is actually we are terrible at navigating anywhere. It's getting a bit dark now, and we still need to get to the Horse Stone for midnight, which is our usual place that we end up. We have been driving around fields in Oxfordshire for quite a while, walking around fields to find the stone that we have now eventually found that we're looking at now. This is the Hawkstone at Dean. It's an amazing looking thing, weirdly in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere. We can see why we couldn't find it. It was stuck behind a hedge. I'm going to give you a little bit of history of this stone, because this is a new stone to Stonewatch. We've not covered it before. If my notes don't fly away. Just a few miles to the east of the Horse Stone at Enstone, which is our usual resting place that we end up at midnight. And they're said to be connected by ley lines. And I'm sure Trudy's going to be talking quite a lot about ley lines a bit later. Although it stands alone in a field, it does, I can confirm that. Some believe it was once part of a larger group of stones that has since been removed. Wonder where they went. Any ideas, anyone? The Hawkstone is most likely named for the similarity between the stone silhouette and the silhouette of a bird, but a local legend suggests that the notches between the two ears of the Hawkstone once served as much more shocking purpose. One legend states that in the past, witches would be chained to the stone and either whipped or burned, and the notch at the top was made by the chains rubbing against the stone of the unfortunate witches as they struggled, as I'm struggling with my notes. There is another version that states that the stone reached its current position after either being dragged there or hurled there by magic means by a witch. So there's a lot of witchery.
There's a lot of witchery around here.
To be honest, we might as well address the elephant in the room tonight, if there is a room. The elephant in the field tonight. Because it is just me and the Psychic Sidekicks, I am feeling a little bit vulnerable. because they are trying to convert me to their... How can I...
say the light side. It's not the dark side, it's the light side. That's where you're
the
coming
believer
tonight.
side. They've apparently put some kind of witches pack together that they're going to get me engaged in all kinds of spiritual believer stuff, and they are going to beat the skeptic out of me. That's their mission. Am I right in that, Trudy?
Correct.
So I don't know what they've got planned, but I have to say the drive down here, there was a lot of poems, to be honest, and Trudy might do a few poems later.
Some new ones, maybe.
Some new ones. I've got to tell you, there was one. But now, Trudy did, I have to say, with the help of AI, did write a poem about the stone that we're looking at now, the Hawkstone. Honestly, it took about 35 minutes of the drive to get through. We were getting to the point where we go, she's still going. She's still going. So I think they're trying to wear me down and turn me into a believer. But we'll see. We'll see if it happens. But yeah, does anybody know anything more about anything that I've said about the Hawkstone that is not true, or anything else that you've heard about the legends?
No, it's just mainly been about the witches, the fact that this was obviously a prime spot for burning witches, which...
And chaining them up. The big groove at the top was supposedly where the chains went.
Right.
And tied the witch up. But also this stone, legend has it, was moved by a witch who carried it from a local brook or river and carried it up to here.
Weird place to leave it, just kind of randomly in the middle. It's not even in the middle of the field. I might have been back in the day.
We're quite high up.
Yeah.
You can see.
It's a lovely view.
Yeah.
It's a lovely view. Yeah, fantastic. Well, we're going to move on now to another stone, which is quite close by. It's amazing how many of these stones, because we're not far from the Rollright stones that we did last year. We're not doing them this year, but we're going to go on to something called the Thor stone before we end up at our normal place that we end up at, the Horse stone. So this is the Hawkstone. We're going to leave while we've still got a bit of light, because I don't think anybody thought about bringing a torch, did they?
I've got a torch.
You've got a torch, brilliantly. Okay, pray for me, listeners, because I'm in danger here.
He's going to need it.
Bye. So we're just walking back to the car after checking out the Hawkstone, which was quite impressive. I got really good vibes from that place. Did you?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, really good.
Were you feeling any energy there, Trudy?
It was quite beautiful energy, considering it's a stone where witches were chained on.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, the setting was beautiful.
Well, as I said, we're wandering back to the car. We're going to go to the Thor stone, which we think is in a little village not far from here, and there's a nice story about that. But we'll be there soon. But while we wait to get there, why don't we... should we see what Ben's doing up in the Isles of Scotland? He should have some fantastic stories for us. So we're throwing to Scotland. We're really going big time this year. So over to Ben.
Good evening, Stonewatch 2025. I'm speaking to you slightly from the past, but I'm also speaking to you from outside because it seemed like the best place to record, which is why it does sound a little bit like Springwatch. I'm giving you updates on stones and stories and interesting facts that I found on my trips around basically Argyll, Jura and Islay. Today, I went to visit the Ballochroy Standing Stones. These stand on a piece of coastline just down from Talbot in Argyll. And when you go to the field that they stand in, you can get a very clear view of the Isle of Jura, including the three mountains that are on Jura that are known as the Paps. If you look at the sun and line up these stones with the Paps on the summer solstice, you will see that where the stones line up with the mountains is where the sun sets. So these are definitely calendar stones. They don't really have any ethereal meaning. And in fact, when you go and visit them, they are in the middle of farmland. And I had to move the car whilst I was taking a few photographs and doing a bit of an investigation because a farmer was moving his sheep past, and my car was definitely in the way. So these are very different to the stones that we would be looking at for Stonewatch in Enston, but they are fascinating nevertheless, because this was a big feat to erect all of these stones. They range in height between 6 and 12 feet, and that mirrors the mountains that you can see opposite them. And they are kind of fascinating. It was wonderful to drive up this kind of gravelly, difficult, I wonder if it's going to burst my tyres, dry, I guess, unmade road driveway to them, and park just near some farm machinery and wander into a field. Well, we actually couldn't get into the field and observe them, but they were great. And so, yeah, more stories later on this evening. But to everybody there, good luck. I'm wishing that the stones move for you, and I'm moving on to my next location.
We are at the Thorstone at Taston. We're probably not going to be able to spend that long here because it's quite weird. It's like there's a village and then it's in a little kind of nooky bit of a village. There's houses all around and there's nowhere to park. So I've just parked in the middle of the road and hoping that no locals don't come out and chase us off. But let me tell you a little bit about this stone. It's 7 foot tall, standing stone that can be found on the side of the road just to the north of the village green in the village of Taston. Little is known about the stone's origin, but one local legend is that the stone was originally a bolt of lightning that was flung to the earth by the Norse god Thor, perhaps aiming for the 14th century Christian cross that once stood on the nearby village green. He didn't hit it, though.
He definitely missed by quite a long way, yeah.
Yeah, that Thor, he wasn't all he was cracked up to be. Now, while this story is improbable, to say the least, it says on this bit of paper I'm reading, the stone was clearly once very important to the local community. In fact, the village appears to have got its name from the presence of the stone. Back in the 13th century, the name of the village was recorded as Thorston, a corruption of the Thor's stone. So they must have changed it to Taston.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess you don't want the symbol of a Norse god really in your Christian village, particularly back in those days. So I have to say, not the most impressive stone I've ever watched.
And a blink and you'll miss it stone, I think, because we very nearly did.
Yeah. And I'm feeling, because we're stuck in the middle of the road down this bit, we're going to have to go now, but we're going to head back to our base camp, as we like to call it. We're going to head to the Horstone. James is going to be joining us there. And I've got a really interesting story about a different stone circle, which is nowhere near here, but it kind of fits into the legend of the Horstone in some way. We'll see what James has brought with him. We'll also check back in with Ben, see what he's up to.
Hello again, Stone Watchers. So I've been familiarising myself now with Jura. I've been here about 8 hours now, and I've been chatting to some local people that I've met in the local pub and also in the cafe, and I've distilled them into a little overview of everywhere that I have been over the last 8 hours. And let me tell you some things. So I haven't quite been as far as this, but I can see this place from here, and it's called the little village of Tarbert. And in Tarbert, in a field that they say never quite dries, is a lone stone. It's tall and grey, it's mostly uneventful, it's a little menhir really, but locals call it the Witness. And they say if you're walking near it just before dawn in the thick mist, you will see a figure standing beside it. Not moving, just watching. A silhouette taller than a man. If you get too close, you'll feel it, like the stone is grieving, like it's seen something you haven't. The islanders tell me it marks the place where a warrior of the Fianna was betrayed by his own men, and his spirit never left. Others claim it's a portal, a boundary stone, between the living and the dead, and at Halloween, when the veil thins, the witnesses watch for those who pass between the worlds. On Midsummer, that feels very relevant. There's an eerie feeling on the island this evening. People aren't necessarily openly celebrating the solstice, but they know it's happening. And everyone I've spoken to has said, you'll be looking for solstice stories. And of course I am. I also want to tell you about the singing stones of Knock Rome. So this is something that I hadn't found through any of the research on my own. And I found somebody called Liz who told me about this. And she said in a Knock Rome, which is very close to where I'm staying, there's a little scatter of mossy stones. They're not lined up. They don't look like Stonehenge or anything. They're crooked, they're haphazard, they're forgotten. But on May Eve or Beltane Eve, they sing. Not loudly, not clearly, but a hum, as if they're remembering something. Now, I was told the story of, in the 60s, a geologist, an outsider, camped up there for some research, and he said that he woke in the night to hear women singing in Gaelic. He searched around and heard nothing, found nothing. Next day, his compass span in circles, his gear stopped working, and he packed and left and never came back. You might say you don't want to know what they're singing about. A little further south near Larg, there was a stone, but apparently it's gone now. It's sunk into the peat. But it had something carved into it, a footprint, one barefoot step, huge, like a giant had pressed onto it. Some said it was the mark of a god, others said it was a druid's binding, but here's the strange part. People would always see a white stag near that stone, always alone, and if you followed it, well, in one story a crofter did just that, in a storm, and he never came back. They found his boots beside the stone, neatly placed. His wife said he'd been dreaming about thunder and lightning for weeks. Now, near Craig House, which is obviously the centre of the island, it's the first place you go to when you come off the ferry, there is hidden in a bog a lichen-covered stone called the Serpent Stone. Legend says it pins down a creature, a serpent, not a normal one, but the spirit of water, that's old and hungry. They say it used to rise from the lochs and swallow whole boats, so the druids pinned it with a stone. They also say that during thunderstorms the stone sweats, and if you touch it when the lightning strikes, you'll see the serpent dreaming. One schoolboy just a few years back drew a picture in class, a snake with human eyes coiled around a rock. He'd just moved to Jura, and nobody had told him the story. Well, that's the legend anyway. Now, you might say these are old tales, but odd things still happen. Walkers lose time near the stones, phones die, cameras glitch. A psychic who visited the island in 2014 said that one stone near the Three Arch Bridge moaned. She said she felt a child trying to speak through her. Hill walkers have heard their own voices whispering back at them from behind, and more than one Jura local has said, don't go walking past the stones at midnight unless you're sure it's your own shadow behind you. So, I really like this idea of missing time. So this isn't something that we have come across in our stone reporting back in England, but in Scotland, where everybody tells me a fairy story that, so many stories go back to fairies. This idea of missing time obviously comes up in fairy reports. We've covered this loads of times on the podcast. And the similarity between that and alien abductions is just too alluring to overlook. But, I don't know what obviously these legends are about, and they are only legends. These are things people have told me. They're things people that have uncovered. But they are I don't know. They don't tell them with a smile. They tell them with a sense of purpose and with a sense of seriousness. And that is because obviously the legends here tell something about not just the people, but the land. And I think that is what I have found in my travels between the mainland, Islay and Jura. People take these places very seriously. And we've all heard the stories, when you go to Iceland, they've got there's a government department to deal with the little people. That's not quite the same here, but people still respect it. And perhaps in this podcast, but certainly in the episode that you'll be getting next week, you'll be hearing my full-length interview with one of the locals here. And I regret asking her off mic. We will definitely have her back again. But we spoke at length about this. On Isla, they're building two new distilleries on land, which is very close to what is termed, fairyland. It has fairy in the Gaelic name for it. And we know what happens if you don't ask the fairies permission to do something where they dwell. So I don't know. Anyway, just let you know, on the island, the sun has just set. It is 22:18, so it went down 4 minutes ago. Nothing paranormal has happened yet. I've been seeing some updates from the team, so I'm guessing that any minute they'll be arriving at the Enston Stone, which will be girding its loins to get down to the pub. Anyway, I'm going back to my watch. I will see you all later.
We've just set up base camp at the Horsestone, our usual resting place, as we like to call it, which we come to every year. No, we're not skipping this place at midnight on Stonewatch 2025. We will recap the legend, I'm sure, as we go along, but on the summer solstice at midnight, these stones, apparently, though we've never seen it, move at midnight. They take a walk down to the stream, have a drink. As they're on their way down there, they reveal underneath them treasure. And if you're quick enough before the time they get back and you can get the treasure, it's yours. Now, this is our 4th year. They've not moved yet, but, we're forever hopeful. We're waiting for James to arrive. He's in the car. He's on his way, which is slightly scary for me because I'm still stuck with Trudy and Nicola, who are trying to tempt me into their evil witchy ways of things. And they have, I never know how to say it, dowsing rods?
Dowsing rods, yeah.
They have dowsing rods. This is their first attempt at getting me involved. They're trying to... I'm going to have a go and see whether I can pick up anything. I'm sceptical, but Trudy tells me it's all going to happen. So I'm just going to... I'm taking the rods.
Okay.
Hold on, I've just got to hand over the mic. So I've got the 2 rods in my hand. Is there a specific way I need to hold these, Trudy?
Can you feel the sheaths on them?
Yep.
So you need it. That's it. So they're moving like that.
So completely loose.
Yeah, completely loose. And hold them in front of your chest. Hands, so you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And just ask them, what is my hard yes?
Well, I think that's it. So the one in my left hand has just flipped right over to the right one and covered it. So that's my hard yes.
Okay. And then
Do I push it back to the middle?
It should go itself. But you can... there you go. It's going to go itself.
I'll give it a little bit of a wiggle. So then I ask it my hard no.
Yes.
Rods, what is my hard no? Handily, it's the other way round. And I've got a bit... What does that mean? I've got crossed. They've both gone over. Is that my hard no, or is it a mixture of the two?
You can ask twice again
Okay.
just to confirm it.
Let's put them back to... Rods, can you tell me my hard no? All right, don't get stroppy just because I asked you again. What's my hard no? It was hard no, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's what you're aiming for.
I'm going to go... So, hold on.
It's
That one.
It's that one.
So, left one going right is my hard yes. Right one going left is my hard no. What do I do now?
Now you're just holding them and you're feeling the energy. And then walk into this area.
So I'm going to
the
walk
stones.
towards the stones. Oh, look, it's telling me yes.
That's
Is
good.
that
That's a
telling me
good...
yes?
Yeah.
And see if you can feel the stones leading you. And sensing. Can you sense anything on the stones?
It's just being very yes at the moment.
Come into my parlour.
Yeah, slightly going more to the middle. Although I think I'm doing that myself.
You could ask, are the stones happy you've been here tonight?
Oh, are the stones happy that we're here tonight and every year for the last 4 years? They don't particularly care by the looks of it.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, is that a yes or a no? They're a bit unsure. There's a bit. Oh,
No, that's definitely your hard yes.
yeah, that's a hard yes. They're happy. That's good.
That's good.
All right, Can we ask the literally the $1 million question? Stones, at midnight, are you going to move? That was a very firm no.
That was a definite no from your dowsing rod.
Oh, yeah, everyone's a critic. We'll leave it there.
That's fantastic.
That was great.
So, Trudy, you're not looking surprised that we got a hard no there?
No, because I think in a way our minds are working the pendulum, well, the pendulums,
Right.
everything we're using, but at the same time, you consciously didn't move that, did you? No. So I work with energy all the time, but it was almost like a commitment from your senses.
Okay,
Going
it's not
to-
going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Got to be more positive, haven't I?
We are
Well, you asked it.
positive.
You've got your hard yes or no.
Okay, let me just put that down.
Can I ask it on behalf of you, or do you have to say
Yeah,
it?
you can ask it. Let's see what happens.
Stones. Trudy's got the thingamajigs in her hand now. Would you move for her at midnight? Ooh, it hit the mic. What's that telling us?
Yes.
Oh,
It's pointing very definitely towards Trudy, isn't it?
Yeah. We did not.
right. What do we make of that? Do we make that we shouldn't look and only Trudy should?
Should we walk down to the river energetically? That's the way the river is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Touching the mic
The
again.
microphone. Oh my goodness me. Yeah.
They're going all over the place.
They are going all over the place.
So they're not going to move for me, but they will move for you. How do we make that happen?
So also when we work with they're going a little bit crazy actually. When we work with energy, we meet on their level.
Right.
So maybe they're just trying to talk to me because there's something going on there, isn't there?
They're quite busy.
Yeah, they're very busy.
I wonder if they think you should walk down towards the river. It is pretty dark though, to be fair. Do they think you should walk towards the river?
Should I walk to the river?
Is that a yes?
Wow, is that a yes? I think he's just confused. Look.
Doesn't like me, does it?
Weird.
Spins right around when I'm in the mix.
There we go. It's gone to you though.
Oh, is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. Of course it's a good thing.
Maybe we think
It's all a good
Peter
thing.
should walk to the river.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is part of your witchy plan.
look.
Yes.
Look.
Yes, this is. They're trying to get me down to the river, and they're going to dunk me, see if I float or something.
No, I'm thinking that is there water beneath us? That's what makes me think this.
Right.
Where there probably isn't there?
It definitely is that way.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask another question while we're at it?
Go for it.
We've been here 4 years in a row, and you've never moved at midnight. Have you ever moved in your history? It's not doing anything. What does that mean? I'm not telling you, or I asked the wrong question?
It's absolutely gone still and parallel. Can you see? It's not moving.
It's big on that river thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I wonder if the legend's not quite the way we think it is. The stones don't move. Maybe they materialise in two places at the same time. So we're stood here looking at them, but they're actually down the river, and they're saying that's where the action is. What do you reckon?
It's possible. If we think...
But
It's a
weirdly-
risk, though, isn't it, at midnight, heading down to the river rather than being here?
Yeah, but not everybody's going to see them, are they? Because not everybody... It's like when you see a fairy, you have to be on that level, the vibration.
They're starting again.
It's all about the vibration. We're not talking about
I know. But maybe we should do the classic horror movie trope, and we should split
Let's
up.
split up.
Yes.
and maybe we'll head off down there around just before midnight, and
You'll
you
leave
guys
me
stay
here.
here.
And what
Well,
time-
you'll have help by then, won't you?
That's true. James should
James
be here
should be
by
here
then.
by then.
But if he doesn't come, that means I'm left here on my own at midnight with you two, with your dowsing rods and your crystals and all your other stuff going on,
All our
wandering
incense
about a
and
woods. What am I going to do there?
You'll be fine.
Although I've got the car keys, so that does
is
help.
Yeah.
that is very true.
All right. Well, we're still waiting for James. We've got I've got an interesting story about some standing stones that move. Not these ones, but some other ones. To be honest, the story I've got about standing stones that move coming up, I should say this quietly in case I upset them, puts these stones to shame.
Hello again, Stonewatch. I am outside again with my bird friends, and this time I'm on the Isle of Jura. And remembering that it was 34 years ago to the very day when the KLF performed their rites of moo on a beach about 4 miles away from where I am sitting. And I can understand why. It is a remarkable island. It is full of not just character, but it feels mystical. One feels almost glamorized by it. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because of the myths, legends, and standing stones. So I've been looking around. So I'm staying very near a place called Loremen, and I'm looking for, there's 3 standing stones here. Now, they are very difficult to find. This evening, I am going a little bit of a mission to find them, but there's a really good reason for doing that, because 2 of the stones, it is claimed, are the burial stones of 2 great warriors, which the island is named after. So they're called Deer and Ra. Now, that is Gaelic, and I'm probably massacring that. But if you translate those into English and put their names together, it spells the name Jura. And legend has it that these two warriors fought a battle here in which they both died, and their bodies are buried at the foot of these standing stones. And it is said that when you walk up and down the road, the tradition is that you can say that you're between the 2 Juras. Now, the difficulty is that those stones are behind a load of gorse, a load of heather, and quite a lot of fencing and all sorts of farming. So I'm going to go and have a little look, see if I can get anywhere close to them. But other people have done that work for me, and I can see that they are about waist height. And annoyingly, if I look across, I can see exactly where they should be. It's just whether I can get there or not. If I can, I will tell you more about them as I touch them. Otherwise, just enjoy the legend. Back to Stonewatch.
We're live at the Stones.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Stonewatch 2025. We're here at the Stones. I'm here with half of the quantum mechanics.
Yes, the other half of the quantum mechanics is in Scotland, looking at stones. We've crossed borders for this year's Stonewatch.
It's international.
International Stonewatch.
International Stonewatch. Yep, this is Pete here from the Quantum Mechanics.
Hello.
I'm, of course, James from Loremen. We've got the Psychic Sidekicks. We've got Nikki here. We've got Trudy over there. And we've got a couple of e-meters on, which have just kicked off when we turned the stream on for some reason. Imagine.
Spooky.
Can't think why. But welcome. Yeah, we're at the Stones. We're waiting to see here. At
Fourth year in a row.
Is it the 4th year? Wow.
Yeah.
We're here to see if at midnight the Stones will move and go down to the river for a drink. Apparently when they do go down to the river, they reveal a treasure. So, you know, if we get it, we're in the big bucks. We're in the big bucks.
Yeah.
We've got the big one here is the horse, and then there's the man, and then there's the dog here who is looking after our lighting, half of our lighting rig.
Because we were here, we've talked about the legend of the Horse Stones quite a few times. So I thought I'd have a look around, see if there are other stones out there that move around at midnight
Oh, yeah.
and have treasure.
Yes.
And I found one. So these stones Well, they're in Dartmoor. They're a circle of stones that move at midnight, giving humans a chance to become rich. But compared to these stones, it's a lot more complicated and dangerous.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to try and run through this because it is quite complicated. So I'll try and be as succinct as I can.
So we've got 25 minutes. We're good.
Okay. Well, on the southern eastern slope of Sitterford Tor are 2 broken stone circles formed of 30 rough blocks of granite. Now, they're known as grey wethers. As it's said, from a distance, they look like a flock of sheep. And we all know that weather is another name for sheep.
Did we all know that?
I did when I did my research.
Right.
I knew that.
I didn't know that.
So if we go back in time to the oldie days,
Oh, yeah.
one day on a boggy upland near Sitterford Moor, which is tough to say, 3 peasants were employed cutting peat.
Pete.
Pete,
You?
not
Pete,
me,
you?
not cutting me.
Good.
No, this wasn't as horror a story as that. They were cutting peat to sell to local farmers. Now, as the sun sank from sight, the 3 men gathered up their slicers, which apparently used to cut peat. Now, one of the men, Rogney.
Rogney. Not Rogney.
Yeah,
It's the wrong Rodney.
yeah, it
It's
is.
Rogney.
It's Rogney.
Okay.
Now, he dwelt throughout the summer there. There was Vance, who was a friend of Rogney, who was with them.
Rogney, Vance.
And then there was Linher, who was a bit of a stranger to the group, didn't live local, been brought in for a bit of peat cutting.
Okay. A freelance peat cutter.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, they existed. Well, that night after their meal, a storm began to rage. And the rain beat down, wind howled and thunder roared. "'Tis a wild night," said Rogney.
Oh.
I'm going to say Rodney every time now, aren't I?
It's Rogney.
It's Rogney. "Thank God for our snug warm house. I would sooner be out tonight than visit grey wethers on midsummer night," commented Vance. "The grey withers," said Linhar, looking up. "What's there to be afraid of?" "The grey withers." "Hush," cried Vance. "Don't you know the story? Why, the shearing them would make a man rich for life." So the tale, basically, because there's a lot of dialogue goes on in this, that it's an evil place, and at midnight it all ties back to a man called Zorak. Zorak,
Nice.
who was a sheep farmer.
Right.
Now, instead of making a sacrifice to the sun god on midsummer, Zorak decided not to use one of his own flock of sheep, but to steal one from another sheep farmer,
That doesn't sound...
which
doesn't
is
sound
not
good.
what you want.
He's setting himself up for failure.
Yeah, yeah. So he stole this one, sacrificed it, wasn't his. When he returned that evening to his flock, he found that they turned into stone, granite stone.
Oh, no.
They were a stone circle standing in their place. The gods had avenged him. Things went a bit downhill for Zorak after that. He basically sickened and died, it said in the story.
Oh, dear.
And he was buried on the top of Cosden Hill. So if we go back to our 3 men,
Rogney,
Vance,
and who was the third?
it was Linher.
Nicholas Lindhurst.
Nicholas Lindhurst. There is a theme here. I'm not making
Yeah.
it up, I promise you.
Now, Boy, Rogney,
Yeah.
Vance, yeah.
So
Did
what
Vance
about
have a brew?
Linher? That's it.
Okay.
What about the legend? Asked Linher, who was kind of keen on the story. Now, this is where the legend gets a bit complicated and frankly quite convoluted.
Right.
So bear with me. The legend runs that if anyone succeeds in shearing one of the sheep, which come alive every midsummer eve at midnight and run around the field
Right.
before they turn back into the stones. So you have to get one of these sheep, and before sunrise you've got to cut its fleece off,
Yeah.
and then you've got to sprinkle it in water that's got to come from one rock basin in a place called Kester, and then the sheared sheep, the what do you call it, the wool,
Yeah.
turns to gold.
The fleece
The fleece.
becomes a golden fleece.
A golden fleece.
Classic.
Now, this seems simple enough in a way, but it gets a bit more complicated because you have to use the shears of Zorak.
Oh, the bad guy from earlier who stole the sheep.
So your first job is to find his grave, which is dig him up,
Oh,
see if he's got his shears,
yeah.
and then take them.
You've got to disinter him.
Yes. And then it gets more complicated.
You've got to find where he's interred. Which
Find him, dig him up.
Sounds smellier than it is.
Yeah. Now, once you've got the shears, they're no use until, losing my voice, until they've been dropped and dipped in the River Tane at midnight.
Do you want to have some water?
I'm going to have some water. So the magic shears are of no use to you until they've been dipped in the River Tane at midnight.
Tane.
Tane. T-E-I-G-N. Tane.
Oh, yeah, like Tameth, yeah.
Now, you've then got to say a rhyme as you're doing this.
Any rhyme? Okay, Rogney. There is a rhyme about them. It contains the secret of shearing the sheep, and it's written on a piece of parchment. At midnight by the tollman upon the river Tane, the shears within its water shall carve thy weal or bane. Strike on thy left, and then on thy right. Red blood and the flood shall stain. Oh, is that the end of the rhyme?
That's the end of the rhyme,
Okay.
I think. So basically,
Simple AAA rhyme.
yeah. So basically, you've dug him up, you've got your shears, you dip him in the water, and then you have to strike left and strike right, and then you have to get a hair that appears.
Hair the animal.
No, it's something that's in the river that appears
Right.
that's got a hair, and you've got to pull a.
Oh, pull a hair, like a hair off the head.
Yes.
Not many aquatic beasts have hair.
I think it's like a lady of the lake type scenario.
Okay.
So you pull that out. That's to tie your sheep up with.
Right.
Because you've got your shears, you have to tie your sheep, and then you have to cut.
Yep.
This is complicated. You following me?
Just about.
Yes. So this Linher, he manages to do all this, but screws it up in the last moment. Doesn't get long enough hair. Doesn't dip the shears in the water for long enough.
Oh dear.
So they're a bit rusty.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, to be honest, the instructions aren't that clear
No,
about that.
they're quite
Sure,
complicated.
they rhyme. Hey, I'm not knocking that they rhyme.
Yeah.
Accuracy. Like if you got an IKEA instruction manual and it was that, you're not going to end up with a wardrobe at the
Or
end
you
of
could go to Argos and get some electric shears, but I'm not sure that would work. So Linher manages to kind of screw it up a bit. He's got a short thing. He captures a sheep.
Good.
Does capture a sheep. Gets some of the fleece off. Manages to get the water on just before midnight. But it hasn't worked out for him. And the gods are really unhappy with him.
Oh, no.
And they strike him down. And he's found dead the next morning by his two co-Peters.
Oh, no.
And that's the he doesn't get his. It doesn't say whether it did turn into gold or not in a little way, but yeah, I think he screwed up the whole
I think
thing.
we can assume that it failed.
Yeah, and he dies because one of the sheep, when it turns back into a stone, tips over him, crushes him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a real danger when dealing with standing stones, isn't it?
it really is.
Being
Isn't it?
crushed to death. So, there is there's some peril.
There's some peril. But I have to say, compared to this one, that's quite a complicated way of getting your money out of a standing stone.
It is. So this one here, this is the... Thanks for that, Pete. That's an excellent story.
I did cough my way through it, so
You did.
apologies.
It sounded like you're really moved
Yeah.
by the tragedy. Which one was it, Del Boy?
Rogney.
You could say it was a bit of a plonker
Yeah,
in
plonker.
this case. Well, here we've got the horse, the man, the dog, and this is the horse stone at Enston, and it's supposed to. It could be the grave of a general, and apparently the general was taken down a path down this way, down over there. There's a pathway, which I believe does go to the river if you go far enough. But that is where the ghost of the a ghost is seen, which may be the ghost of the general or the ghost of the funeral procession or something like that. That's one of the stories. One of the other stories is this was built to it was basically built to host a French wedding.
Because I remember when we did the remote viewing, I did that Concorde. Do you remember?
You did the Concorde,
yeah.
which it would have been the joining of
Yeah,
France and England, classic Concorde.
Yeah.
But I've got some stories this time from. Well, you remember? Are you aware of the book Mysterious Britain? This is the sequel to Mysterious Britain. This is Janet and Colin Board's The Secret Country, More Mysterious Britain.
I'm glad they didn't go Mysterious Britain too.
The Secret of the Yews.
Yeah.
There are a few standing stones around here. Most famously, you've got the Rollright stones. You've also got the Thor stone over at Taston, and I believe you did a little drive-by earlier.
We did.
Any movement? Okay, and you went over to see the Hawkstone as well.
Hawkstone was amazing.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's on the
Really
top of a hill, and were you there just for sundown?
Just before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just before.
That's nice. That's got a big sort of cleft in it, which is supposed to be caused by the amount of chains. Well, it was rubbed through by chains that used to chain witches up with.
Yeah.
And they would burn them there as well, apparently, but they deny that. They very much deny that. Some stories of some underground passages. Right, first of all, a passage is said to run several miles from Castle Cock, the Red Castle, apologies for my pronunciations here, by the River Taff to Cardiff Castle, and at the head of the passage is a cavern containing an iron chest filled with treasure. This is said to belong to Ivor the Little, Lord of Morley, whose stronghold the castle was in the 12th century. Now, this treasure is protected by 3 huge eagles, which are chained to the chest. There's another treasure chest in Cleveland, which is also guarded by a bird, which was a raven or a crow, and it's halfway along an underground passage, running from Gisborough Priory to a field in Tocket's parish. So, I mean, there's some blue-sounding names here, aren't there? We've got, Castle Cock, Gisborough, and then we've got some treasure chests in Derbyshire that are protected by some more birds, cocks this time, cockerels. So from Holmesfield Castle to Holmesfield Hall, there's another passage, and there is a treasure chest there, which, again, guarded by cockerels, which crow if anyone goes near the chest. In West Sussex, there's a treasure hoard guarded by large snakes, which drive off anyone who try to excavate the underground passage, which goes up to Sisbury Ring, which is a friend of the show. There's also, in Oxfordshire, at Bruin Abbey, there's an underground passage. There's an underground passage 4 miles long that goes from Bruin Abbey to Tangley Hall, and a ghostly monk is supposed to walk along that one. There's also, of course, the story of the fiddler. Now, there's 3... yes, the S is rude again. Yes, it's rude. There's 3 different tunnels that have very similar stories. There's one in Gloucestershire, which goes from Old Grange to Flaxley Abbey. There's one in Kent that goes from Marling Abbey to a smuggler's cave. And there's another one in Binham Priory that goes to Walshingham Abbey. Those are in Norfolk. Now, halfway along all of these routes, on the surface, on all 3 is a little wood called Fiddler's Wood, or Fiddler's Copse, rather. Yeah, Fiddler's Wood. That's, again, we'll just go with Fiddler's Copse. And that commemorates the classic story of a fiddler. So it would be a fiddler and his brother, and the fiddler went into the cave playing his violin, and the brother would walk along the top listening for the sound of it, and so they could sort of trace the path of the tunnel. But as they got to the point underneath Fiddler's Copse, the fiddle stopped. and the fiddler was never seen again. Gone. Vanished.
But think of the acoustics, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. And there's a variation on this story from the Scilly Isles, Piper's Hole, and there's a headland called Peninis, which is said to be the entrance to an undersea passage that leads to another Piper's Hole. And people who entered the Piper's Hole were never seen again. They're overcome by fatigue, and the passage was too narrow for them to turn around and come back. And now, if a dog entered the passage, the Fiddler's Hole, they were a bit luckier. They would eventually, after a few days, they would emerge from the hole in Tresco, but they would be emaciated and almost hairless.
I'm not surprised.
And they don't mention any music on this one, but the fact that it's called Piper's Hole kind of, you get the idea that there might have been. There's quite a few treasure hoards associated with standing stones. There's a really good one here. So, and this one's in Wales, in Clwyd. I think that's in Wales. So there is a ghost of a huge man dressed in gold, which is said to haunt a barrow called Bryn yr Elchion, the Hill of the Goblins. Was that good pronunciation? Was that accurate? Or did it just sound like it should have been accurate?
You said it with confidence.
Yeah. So when they excavated the barrow in 1833, and a gold cape was discovered, and now that is apparently in the British Museum. There is a barrow on Bodmin Moor in Cornwall called the Rillerton Barrow, and that's also got a ghost story. And the ghost there is of a druid priest who used to sit on a rock outcrop called the Druid's Chair, and he would offer passers-by a drink from his cup, and it was a magic potion in this golden cup, and no one would be able to drain that drink, that cup. And one time, anyone who tried, they try and drink it, try and finish it, never be able to finish it. One time, a drunken hunter threw the dregs back in the ghost's face, and unsurprisingly, met a sticky end. He and his horse were found dead in a ravine, and he was buried still holding that golden cup. And in 1818, a skeleton and a gold beaker were discovered during excavations of that barrow. So it's weird, is there some sort of folk memory of the things that are in there, and then the stories kind of grew up around them and people didn't even know that this thing was there? But they knew the story. They knew the story of the guy with the gold cup, the very rude guy.
11:58.
Oh, we're at 11:58. Oh, 2 minutes.
11:57 and 33 seconds.
Okay, we'll have a proper countdown. I'll just tell you a quick story of the White Cow of Mitchell's Fold, which is a stone circle. So there was a pure white cow that only appeared at night in the middle of the stone circle, and she would allow each person a pail full of milk, and if anyone were to take more, the cow would never return. And an evil old witch milked the cow into a sieve, and so of course that never filled, so they milked the cow dry, and the cow never appeared again. Now either the cow belonged to a giant, and it came down, and the giant saw that the cow was distressed, came down, kicked the witch, and the witch turned into a stone. What's the time check? Are we
11:58 and 30 seconds.
58 and 30 seconds, so we are just a minute away.
Watch this year.
You're not going to look?
Well, it
Because we did some dowsing rods, and I asked whether I should watch, and it said no, and Trudy should.
So Trudy, you're going to keep an eye on it. You're going to look away.
Yes, and I've lost my voice. So
You have? Okay, what's the time now? What are we on?
11:58 and 55 seconds.
Okay then, so
11:59.
we're on a minute away. Okay, so this really is crunch time. If the stone does move, we will obviously try and get a shot of the treasure. The thing is, if you do try to get the treasure, the stone comes back and crushes you. So, I don't know. Do you want to risk it? Are you going to go for the treasure if you see it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to go for it. You're going to risk it. Okay.
We'll go for it.
You can't go for it.
The e-meter's going crazy over there,
It is going crazy over there.
but that might be because of
Oh, you got your phone out.
because the phone's on. Yeah.
How we doing?
Right, 11:59:37. Ooh.
Okay.
All right, literally. All right,
Give us a 10
11:49.
second.
10,
10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now.
No. Nope. Did it move for you, Trudy?
Did the earth move for you, Trude?
Got stuck in mud.
I think it's stuck in the mud.
mud.
It's blooming buried itself.
4
Okay.
years in a row.
We could get lucky next time.
5th year.
5th year. Okay, so it doesn't look like the stone has moved this year. Thank you very much for joining us on Stonewatch 2025. I've brought an offering for the stone. It's some rocky road.
Nice.
I don't know. Is that now? That feels like a bit of an insult, doesn't it? That
Bit
feels,
patronising.
or just sort of cannibalism,
Yeah, that's
isn't
true.
it? Yeah. I hope that's not. Well, we'll leave it a little bit of rocky road.
And as midnight rolls past in Jura as well, nothing happened here. I'm glad the team didn't get crushed. It was sad that we didn't get the treasure, but luckily I wasn't enchanted by a redhead lady and taken away for missing time. I will continue to find some more stories around here and be back for a Scottish special. I'll hand you back to the guys in Enston for a final word.
We'll pack up now. Thank you very much for joining us for Stonewatch 2025. See you this time next year,
See you next
where
year.
we will be either similarly disappointed, very rich, or completely crushed. Like literally, not just emotionally as we are now.
Are you the quantum mechanics?